Howdy y'all, JR Gamer here with another video just for you. If this is your first time here and you're looking for a relaxing space to evaluate gameplay, inspiration for your own projects, or a dose of daily awful dad jokes, don't forget to subscribe to the channel right now. And while you're at it, click on the bell to get notified when I upload more videos. Howdy y'all, this is JR Gamer, once again bringing you a beta version of a game that we will be playing for the next couple of weeks to test it out. This game is Planet Zoo. It is the new version from Frontier Games, who created Planet Coaster, which is one of the games that I really enjoy creating in. When this Planet Zoo came out, was announced, I was very excited in trying to create a zoo for myself. I'm really into building, but more importantly, I like the management aspect of it. So I'm really looking forward to what the management of this Planet Zoo game is going to be. So we just got it this morning. It just loaded at 10 a.m. this morning here in Central Time, and we're going to play it. We're going to make some content out of it, and then hopefully, see what it looks like and see whether you guys like it, whether it's something that you want to pick up for yourselves. The launch date, I believe, is November 8th for the full version of the game. In this version of the game, we're only going to get two modes. One is the franchise mode, which is the online play mode, and the other one is the scenario mode, which is the career mode of the game. But we're only getting one scenario, which is the initial scenario, which is the tutorial for the game, and those are the two modes that we're going to get. We are going to have several animals as part of it. We don't know. I don't know how many yet because I haven't gotten into the game yet. Right now, I'm just creating my avatar. But we're gonna get several animals, and hopefully we'll see what kind of animals we get with the zoo. So I'm gonna try. I want to play franchise mode. I think that's the better mode for me. So I'm gonna try and do that and play franchise mode first. I'm gonna put down my avatar somewhere where I think is near San Antonio, because that's where I want my headquarters to be, and I'll change it later if it's not exactly. So here we go. We've got scenario and franchise mode. So a lot of things look similar to Planet Coaster. This is where all your friends are. Those are your options. I'm going to go through some of the options that are available. I'm going to go through the settings just so I can set them how I like them. My soundtrack volume, I bring it down to about 75% just because I don't want the music to be very loud in the background. Sound effects, everything else look good. I'm going to enable subtitles. I don't need to mute the Zoo music, play soundtracks, mute non-voice audio. No, I think we're good there. So that's my, I'm gonna configure my settings. The camera looks all similar to Planet Coaster, so I don't think I'm gonna change anything here for right now. Maybe once I try it out, the sensitivity of the camera, I might try that. Might change that at a later date, just to see how sensitive it is when I move it around. Let's see. Let's go to graphics. I'm going to keep it at the highest level for now and see how my computer takes it, just to see if my computer can run it at its highest level. I'm running several games, so we'll see what it is. The interface, I'm getting old. I might need the text a little bigger, but it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. But I am going to change the distance units. I'm a U.S. kid, so I do better with feet. and miles than I do with meters. So the game, vertical snapping. Okay, so the controls. Uh, Maybe we should go through some of these controls. Center pan, these are all the camera controls. They look all similar to Planet Zoo. If I want to zoom, I just scroll. Object placement, right click, left click to cancel the placement, Z to shift, space bar to snap on and off, align to surface V, flatten terrain K. Yeah, all of these are similar to Planet Zoo. The path works pretty much the same way. Raise or lower. U and J to raise or lower. Rotate for junction. Z to hold an angle. Shift to reset vertical height. Space to angle snap. Increase or decrease path length. K to flatten terrain. Delete to delete path. Y junctions with Z. Yeah, pretty much similar to terrain. Same thing, apply the brush with your right click mouse button. Track edits, same thing as Planet Coaster. Building edit mode, again, pretty much the same thing as Planet Coaster. Adjust height, shift plus vert up and down. V to align the surface, okay. General shortcuts, W to pan camera forwards, S to pan backwards, left, right. Raise or lower camera is E and Q. Page up, page down is camera in, camera out. Yeah, pretty much camera torch L. Okay. Open and save menu. Zoo management is 1. Exhibit trading is F2. Animal trading is 2. Open barriers. Okay. So those are some of the new ones, like the heat maps and the multi-select. The H and the I are not on Planet Coaster, I don't think, or at least I haven't used them. So those are the settings and the controls. They're pretty much similar to Planet Coaster. I think there's something different there. So if you click on the avatar, it shows what uploads I've done. I don't have any uploads because I just started the game, so we're good there. I've tried the franchise mode a couple of times, but there looks to be an error with the server and I can't seem to get in. So since I can't get in, I'm gonna just do the scenario. And just do the tutorial for now, and then see if there's any patches or anything coming up from Frontier in the next couple of hours. Because I looked through Discord and I looked through the forums and I looked through Twitter and I saw that I was the only one having the problems. So that's what we're gonna do. The scenario says renovate and rename after it's purchased by Bernard Goodwin, the Goodwin House. So we're going to renovate, or we're going to try our tutorial at the Goodwin House, which is Bernard Goodwin's, which is the character in the scenario. We're going to do some things in his zoo. So here we go. I'm going to shut up now and let you hear the scenario and just kind of interject wherever there's nobody talking. Hopefully you enjoy the gameplay. And hopefully we don't stumble along and maybe we can pick up some of the bugs that are still there. But yeah, here we go. Welcome to Planet Zoo.
Heyo at Hematu. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I have a habit of slipping back into the Planco language. It's good to finally meet you in person. I'm Bernard. Although I insist you call me Bernie. The only person who calls me Bernard is my wife. And even then, only when I've tracked elephant dung into the carpets. As you know, I own several zoos, but I always like to show people the ropes here at my home. This is the first zoo I ever opened. and a source of great pride for me. And prize, thanks to a lion breeding program we ran in the 80s. But we're in the middle of a big renovation, and that's where you come in. Sadly, our old contractor had to retire after developing a fur allergy. Poor devil kept sneezing his dentures into the lion habitat. So, it's up to you to finish everything off. Don't worry though, I'm not completely throwing you into the deep end. My head keeper, Nancy Jones, will be lending a helping hand. Oh, she's a hard worker, and she'll expect you to be too. But I'm sure you'll get along like a house on fire, or even better, one that isn't on fire. Less shouting that way.
Hello there. From that rosy, fresh face of yours, I'm guessing you're Bernie's new hire. Good. Now, I hope you're ready to ditch your diploma because we're about to get really hands-on. But before we begin the real work, how about we familiarise you with the zoo by learning how to fly around it and visiting some of our beautiful animals. We'll start by popping over and having a look-see at the grizzly bears in their habitat.
Okay, so first we're going to try and see how to maneuver, and there's the basic maneuvers. So of course we're going to use our mouse to do that, and we're going to go over here to the grizzly bears, the habitat. Yeah, I might change the control on the camera because it seems that the sensitivity is a little too high
Did you
for
know
me.
that grizzly bears, also known as Ursus arctos horribilis, can hibernate for up to 7 months a year? Oh, but then again, given the chance, I think a lot of people would do that too. Select one of the bears and you'll bring up its information panel. This is where you can find out all kinds of information about your animal, the most important thing being its overall welfare. You'll learn more about animal welfare today as we go through your objectives, but for now, let's enjoy this magnificent animal. Why don't you select the camera at the bottom of its information panel? See now, this is a fantastic way to get a close look at your animals. You can also get this view of an animal by simply double-clicking on it. Okay, when you're ready, let's pop over to the other side of the zoo and take a look at the lions. I've marked their location for you to find.
So one of the things I notice here is animals are awesome. Everything's it's great, but right now my sensitivity on the camera is a little high.
Panthera leo leo, or the West African lion to you and me. Lions are the most social of the big cats, and there can be as many as 40 lions in a pride, although prides of that size are pretty rare. As Bernie would say, those lions are awesome, which is precisely why I handle the training instead these days. Anyway, how about we get started on those objectives? Come on, let's head over to our warthog habitat and see what needs doing there. As you can see, it's a lovely space for warthogs, but it's missing a certain something. Well, two somethings. The warthogs! So I'd like you to adopt a pair of them. To adopt animals, we need to open the animal market, which is in the animal trading section. There we are, a pair of perfectly splendid warthogs for our zoo. Just click on them and select Buy from the side menu. Normally the animal exchange would be full of animals, but I've emptied out the market while you learn how it works. The last thing I need is you accidentally ordering a dozen elephants. When you adopt an animal, it's automatically placed in the trade centre, where they're held until you're ready to move them into their habitat, which, as it happens, you are. So how about you move them into their new home?
So a lot of this is just simply clicking where things are going to go. And of course the warthog.
When you ask for an animal to be moved into a habitat, your caretakers will go to the trade centre, collect your animal and deliver them to your selected habitat. I've marked the trade centre's location, so let's go and watch the caretakers in action.
Okay, where is the trade center? You guys see it? I don't see the trade center. Am I missing it? Oh, they're on the right. There it is. You can see it highlighted. So the warthogs are being delivered. So you get a lot of information from the trade center, or compare mates, superior fertility, immunity, size, age. So you get a lot of information from the animal trade center. Now the zoo view gives you information about the zoo itself. The most popular animal is the African lion, your staff. All the types of staff that you're supposed to have or you can have. Okay, there's the trade center. Trade center. Okay, once again, I gotta work on how I use this. There doesn't seem to be anything in there right now.
Well, as you can see, those caretakers don't hang about. They'll move those animals to their destination as fast as possible. Of course, normally we'd have to place the animals into quarantine before moving them into a habitat, but I am assured by a person of good standing that these warthogs are in the very rudest of health. Right, let's get the warthog's habitat finished up so we can keep them nice and happy. You see, each animal in the zoo has an overall welfare statistic, basically how happy they are, and that overall welfare statistic is itself comprised of 4 different areas: nutrition, social health, habitat, and enrichment. Luckily, if you select an animal, you'll bring up their animal welfare information panel, which we saw earlier, where you can see how they're doing. That way, you'll know exactly what areas need to be addressed. Don't worry if that's a lot to remember. You can always check the Zoopedia for more information. Let's start by making sure we're taking care of the warthog's nutrition welfare. To do this, we'll need to place a food station and a drinking station. Now, each animal requires a different type of feeding station, and for the warthogs, it's a small feeding trough. So let's add one of those and a water bowl.
Okay. So we're gonna place a water ball right there. Should we place another one? No, let's just do one for now. There's only 2 warthogs. And the feeding station right there.
Animals also require stimulation to keep them happy. Let's add a lovely mud bath for the warthogs to roll around in. That bath will count towards their enrichment welfare, specifically their toy enrichment welfare.
A mud bath. Okay. Why don't we just place it here where there's a lot of rocks and dirt.
Oh, nice work. You've got a knack
Looks
for
good.
this, I see. Now, our contractor had to leave in a hurry, so this place is in a pharaoh's state. Unfinished thingamajigs and whatsits all over the shop. But the first thing we need to finish is the ostrich habitat. It's over near the hippos.
Okay, so we have to finish this right here.
Okay, job number 1 here is to add a habitat gate before we complete the barrier. Every habitat needs a habitat gate. After all, how else would the keepers get in and out? Just make sure it's hooked up to the path so the keepers can reach it.
So I guess we have to place it where it is, or where they're asking for us to put it. Okay. Okay. It needs to be connected to the path. That's what she said.
Right. Let's complete the perimeter barrier so we can adopt us some ostriches. I've marked out an area for you to use, so I'd like you to finish off the perimeter using the brick barrier.
Okay, so this is the new way of doing things. This is similar to Jurassic Park, which I played, but I played on the Xbox. I haven't played it on the PC. Okay. So, how do we... I want to do a corner. I don't want to do a rounded. Okay. That's not working. That's not working. Okay, so let's exit out of there and maybe we can just... Okay, there we go. That's what I wanted. It's still very rounded. I don't think I like it, but we'll finish it for now. Oh shoot, it didn't take. Okay. We're gonna edit the barrier. How do we connect it? So we can't do corners? How do we do corners? I figured we could do corners. Maybe I didn't do something right. Well, it's gonna have to be
Good work.
Okay.
Remember, before you can place animals in any habitat, it has to have a full loop of connected barrier. Now, you've probably noticed that guests can't actually see into this habitat at the moment. At least not without a stepladder. But seeing as they're banned, I'd like you to select a piece of barrier and swap out the brick for a glass barrier so the guests can see in.
So you're supposed to be able to just swap out. Okay, it's not doing it. Edit barrier? How do I do this? We're all learning together, guys, okay? So just bear with me. I know it's kind of tedious, but we're all learning together. So I'm clicking on the barrier, and I'm clicking on the glass barrier, but it's not working. Maybe I have to edit. Okay, click edit barrier. Okay, we clicked it. And
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Adding in more windows gives guests even more opportunities to see the animals in a habitat. It's always best to make sure the guests can get a good view into a habitat from the path they're walking on, because it makes them happy, and because this would be a pretty terrible zoo if they couldn't. The last thing we need to do is to add a donation box. You see, when guests enjoy the view of an animal, they'll make a donation. Just make sure you put them in easy-to-reach places, like near a viewing point. Donation boxes are one of the main sources of income for the zoo, so make sure you remember them.
So I guess during the tutorial, I'm limited as to what I can use, and so I was only able to put one glass barrier.
Alright, you finished the habitat, so it's high time we adopted those ostriches, don't you think? Let's get 4 of them in here.
So obviously I can't put more glass, because I would have put a lot more glass, especially with ostriches. They're not dangerous. I would have pretty much done the entire barrier in glass. But obviously that's not possible in the tutorial. So maybe things will change in the scenario. And from what they said about the sandboxes, everything's going to be unlocked. And since I couldn't get into franchise mode, I really don't know what's available in franchise mode. But for now, let's just do
While we wait
this.
for them to be collected by the caretakers and brought to the habitat, you should get it ready for them. Add a suitable feeding station, water station, and an appropriate food enrichment item. It's often best to place things like enrichments and feeding stations near to the habitat perimeter, so guests can get a really good view of the animals.
water trough. So we got 3 feeding stations, 1 large and 2 slow feeders. And then we need to put the water one down. I'm gonna put this one on the back so that it's not close to them. Just give them a little bit of privacy. That'll work. Alright.
Oh, good to see the ostriches have somewhere they can really stretch their legs. Did you know they can actually run at 43 miles per hour? Oh, heaven forbid they ever escape. The speed camera fines alone would bankrupt us.
Well, Bernie certainly seems impressed. Did he do his speed camera joke? Every time we get an ostrich. So, now we've made the ostriches' lives a bit better, let's do the same for the keepers, shall we? To make it easier for the keepers to feed the ostriches and hippos, we should build a new keeper hut. Keeper huts are where the keepers prepare the food for animals, so they should be placed near to the habitats to make sure the keepers don't waste their time walking when they should be looking after the animals.
So I'm not gonna do a dramatic build. I'm just gonna use what they have for right now. This is just a tutorial, so we're gonna go through it, see how it works. Of course, I can build around it. As you can see, there's a grid around it. Man, I really need to work on my sensitivity with these, with the mouse, because I can't seem to control it. I'm trying to square it up. I don't like the angle stuff. I gotta remember how to square this thing up, how to make it. Oh yeah, you gotta press X, I think. Anyway, I'm gonna see, turn around. So that path right there is a keeper path, which means that only zookeepers and staff can go on that path, which makes it so putting the zookeeper hut back here makes it easy. You know, the community, the patrons can't see it, so that's a good thing. That's the whole point. It's away from people. So let me straighten this out so that it's kind of straight towards the path. Right there, looks good. Let's move it. Oh, not down. Jeez. I always do that. I can't seem to grab the right one. There we go. How far? There we go. Okay, so we've got the keeper.
This keeper hut only has space for 1 keeper, but the larger keeper hut can allow multiple keepers to prepare food at the same time. Oh, but bear in mind that keeper huts and other staff facilities shouldn't be placed near to areas where there are lots of guests. Guests don't like seeing facility buildings, and it can affect their happiness negatively, in case that wasn't clear. Something that all facilities, shops, and a whole host of other objects need is power, and that obviously includes your newly built keeper hut. So let's place a transformer next to it, shall we?
So that's another thing here. Very similar to Jurassic Park Evolution. Not only do you have to put in your own electrical facilities in order for things to work. So it's very similar in that sense to Jurassic Park Evolution. So I think Frontier has kind of done a little meshing of Planet Coaster and the way Planet Coaster you build things, and Jurassic Park Evolution where the gates.
Now, the reason everything has gone blue is because you're using the power heat map. This map allows you to see what is and what isn't powered in your zoo. So once you've placed your transformer, you can click in the bottom left to turn the heat map off.
So as you can see, it is very similar in that way to Jurassic Park Evolution, in that you actually have to place down transformers and electrical buildings in order for everything to work. Otherwise, it does not work. So I mean, it's a good thing. I enjoy that. It's part of management is to make sure that there's electricity. So I think this is a
Lovely
good thing.
work. Now the keepers can start using the hut to prepare food, and thanks to where you've put it, they won't need to walk very far to deliver it to the ostriches and hippos. Let's get on to your next objective then. Bengal tigers. We want to adopt some, but I'm afraid there's nothing ready for them yet. Head on over to the plot of land I've marked out. It's not too far away. Righty, your next job is to build a habitat. From scratch. And wood and concrete, I expect. So go ahead and build it. And don't forget the habitat gate. It's always best to place the habitat gate close to the keeper hut. As it happens, there's one quite near to the trade centre.
Man, I need to really work on the sensitivity in this camera. Jeez.
Oh, and make sure the guests will be able to see the tigers.
Okay, so that path right there is the keeper path. So that's where we're going to place the gate. We only get 2 types of barriers. Glass and concrete. That's it. We don't get any more. And we need to stay within that barrier line. See, if I go outside of it, it won't let me. Because ideally what I would do is I would use that back part and create an invisible barrier on that where the rocks are. That's what I really would love to do, but that's not what's being allowed here for right now. So we're gonna go with what it is, and we're just gonna use a concrete barrier on the back side there and stay within the blue. As you can see, it's not even anywhere close to the rocks back there. Okay, I still don't understand how to do these corners. I want to do not a rounded corner, I want to do a square corner. So I have to work on that. There's got to be a way of doing... Oh. Well, you know, you should read instructions. I'm looking down here and there is a way. You do straight or curved, height snap, snap to adjacent heights, windows, height mode, angle snap. Okay, so next time I'll do a better job now that I read the instructions. But for now, we're just going to do our best here and we'll do some rounded corners. And I want to have the glass up against this part of the habitat, just because that path is a path for guests, so they're gonna want to see the tigers. So I'm gonna start it right there where that donation station is, so that people see the tigers and they donate. And then I'm gonna run it all the way around until we get to the other path on the other side. So let's see if I can make this happen. There we go. It's a rounded corner, but I mean, it is what it is. So here we're gonna go with glass. So we do glass all the way down. To there, then we round the corner. So yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do. Okay, can't see. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do that. And it's not gonna let me do a square because it's not. Okay, I keep pressing 1 so I get the management thing. And getting a little frustrated here. can't seem to make it a square corner. I mean, now I know how to do it, but unfortunately when I was doing this, because this is pre-recorded, I had no clue. Anyway, here we go. Doing a concrete, why are we doing it? Oh yeah, because no, that's not. Alright, there we go. Okay, it's not connecting. Because it wants to curve. So that's not working. It still wants to curve. Okay, we'll make it, there we go. Curve it right there. We're gonna switch it to concrete. 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 Oh, we shouldn't have switched it to concrete. We should have kept it as glass. Make it a little smaller and turn it. Nope, it's too long. Okay, let's try there. There we go. Okay, now we switch it back to concrete. It's not the prettiest one, it's not the prettiest thing, but you know what, it's gonna work for now. I'll come back and fix it at a later date. Doing that. Wants to curve around the path. Why is it doing that? I mean, that's as good as it's gonna get for now. Something's missing. Oh, what's missing? Something's missing. Oh, the gate, the zookeeper gate. I gotta put the gate in. Let's see. What? Where is it? Where am I gonna put it? This has been a very interesting learning experience for me. Very interesting learning experience. Trying to straighten this out, but it is what it is. I need a habitat gate. Let's put it over here. Close to the corner.
Now, Bernie takes safety very seriously at his zoos, so we should probably make sure those tigers can't jump out of their habitat, don't you think? The way we'll do it is by changing the height of the habitat's barrier. Okay then, you should start by double-clicking the habitat barrier, which will take you into barrier editing mode. Great, now highlight the entire perimeter of the habitat. You can do that by clicking and dragging the barrier selection tool. Now you've got all of the perimeter selected, you can increase the height of it by clicking and dragging the barrier height tool upwards. You'll want to make sure it reaches a minimum height of 4 meters.
Okay, so I have to do the entire barrier. It needs to be 4 meters, which is 13.2 feet, right around there. 13 and a half feet. Okay, what am I not doing right here? Okay, well that one's going up, but the rest of them are not, so that's not it. What am I not doing here? Why isn't it moving? Oh, there we go. Let's see. Let's go all the way around. Okay. Now we do the height to 13 and a half, 13.2, somewhere around there. Oh, it's a little too high. I think we need another foot or so, if my math is correct. 14 feet is about, or 4 meters is about 13 something feet. Yes, I'm checking my math. That's why it's taking a little bit of while. I'm trying to figure out how much it is, how high I'm supposed to do it. So we'll do it at about 13.5.
Okay, that's the habitat boundary complete, the habitat gate in place, and most importantly, the tigers won't be able to jump out of it anymore. I think it's time we adopted those tigers.
So once again, it's very limited just to the animals that we're doing for the tutorial. So, man, those tigers are expensive. And right now I don't see any money, so it's probably unlimited money because
Whilst
it is
our
a
trusty
tutorial.
caretakers collect and deliver the tigers, let's take a look at preparing the habitat for their arrival. We'll start with the basics. Add a suitable feeding station for them. This time, instead of adding a water bowl, let's try something different. Some animals need a pool in their habitat so they can go for a swim, but they can also use it to drink from. All you have to do is make sure the banks of the pool have a gentle slope so they can easily get a nice refreshing drink. There's already a pool excavated, but you still need to fill it with water. You should do that by going into terrain and selecting the water tool.
water, rough water. Okay, where's the line? There it is. Let me get closer. Right there.
Yes, that'll do nicely. Of course, just like the warthogs and ostriches, these tigers will also need some enrichment. Why don't you add some suitable toy and food enrichment items into their habitat?
So, scratching post. Let's put one over here so people can see him scratch.
Okay, it's really starting to take shape. Now, the tigers will need a shelter in their habitat so they can hide from the guests, or more likely the bad weather. Although given that we're in England, you might want to think of that just as normal weather. Go on, add a shelter to their habitat. You can either build one from various suitable bits and bobs, or if you like, just pop down the blueprint that I've already built for you.
So once again, I'm just going to use the blueprint. I'm not going to spend the time in building a fantastic shelter. I'm going to save that for the franchise mode, where I'm going to basically create a zoo to my liking. Here I'm just learning how to use the pieces and how to use the stuff that's already available and what it does. So it's basically just a tutorial, and so I'm gonna stick to that principle. That it's just a tutorial and not try and construct something. As we go along in the next couple of days, as I keep playing and hopefully get into franchise mode, then we'll create more elaborate habitats. I really honestly think that the tiger enclosure should be different. Like I said, I would have rather just have the rock face in the back, not that concrete wall, and make the rock face large enough that they can't climb on it, and slick enough that they can't climb on it. I think that's more natural. So I would have probably put a waterfall,
Oh, poor
either
Dabs.
falling from the rock
I'm sure it
face or
can't
falling from
escape
this
your
area
attention
over
that the
here.
tigers look a bit miffed. That's because they aren't too keen on the type of terrain in their habitat. Select a tiger and bring up its information panel. Rightio, click on the terrain tab. That way you can view the terrain information and see how they feel about the different types of terrain. That'll tell you what the tigers need more of or less of in this habitat. Okay then, open the terrain editing tool, select painting, and give them some more soil. Yes, that should help with the habitat part of their welfare.
Okay, so it's requiring more than 17% soil and less than 65% long grass. I don't want to overdo it, so I'm going to try here with the small brush, and see how long it takes for me to get it to 100% intensity. So I'm going to do a size 4 with 100% intensity. So I mean, I'm really enjoying it. It's very hands-on. I'm not building anything right now, so which is part of the reason that I like the game, is that I can build stuff. But this is just a tutorial, and it's showing me what I'm supposed to do, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm learning about the habitat. I'm learning about the needs and what we're supposed to be doing. Maybe do a little bit of aesthetics. Again, it's not what I would have built, if I had all the pieces, but for purposes of the tutorial, it works. Once we're done with the tutorial, once we can get into franchise mode, maybe things will be a little bit different. But I just wanted to show you the initial gameplay. I know there is a lot of people that are doing this. There's a bunch of streamers that streamed it at the beginning as soon as it came out at 10 a.m. Some people did get into franchise mode. I was looking at Twitter and all of those things. Some people had the same bug that I did, the same issue where I couldn't get into the server, maybe because the server was too overloaded. Some people actually got kicked out of the server or got frozen out of the server. So there were a lot of issues, but it is a beta launch, and it's good that the issues are now and not when the game launches. So now they know that there's a higher demand for the server than they thought they needed. Obviously, that's one of the reasons that the server crashed, or that I couldn't get into the server, is because the server overloaded. And it's because a lot of people wanted to play the franchise mode, because obviously the franchise mode is more closer to the sandbox version than the tutorial. The tutorial is limited to what the tutorial is giving you, while the franchise mode is a little bit more open. It is still limited because you're limited by the amount of money that you have, but the availability of animals, the availability of construction, the design, and all the stuff that people want to do is probably best done in the franchise mode rather than in this tutorial. They did say that at the end of the tutorial you'll have free play, but it is, again, very limited by what's available in the tutorial as opposed to the franchise mode, which has a lot more availability of animals, a lot more availability to create than here in this tutorial mode. And one of the things that I've noticed, I mean, it is very not detailed, but, and I don't want to say tedious because it's fun. Getting the right amount of grass. For example, here he wants less grass. So getting the right amount of grass, and of course I'm putting more grass because I don't understand what's going on because I'm not paying attention. So, you have to pay attention to what the habitat requirements are for your animals. And that's very, very important. So I'm adding long grass when in reality what it's asking me for is less long grass. So I'll eventually, as we go along, figure that out. But it's going to take me a little while to get that done, or to understand that. Right now I'm thinking what this means is that it needs more long grass because it's at 62%. But the reality is it needs less long grass and more of the other stuff, more of the short grass, more of the soil, more of the rock. Um, and so, these are things that you learn, and that's why you need the tutorial. And so this is why I wanted you guys to do to see the let's play on the tutorial, and because I couldn't get into franchise mode. I mean, that's the reality of the thing, is I could not get into franchise mode, and since I couldn't get into franchise mode, this is what I could play, and this is what I'm giving you guys first. It's about an hour and a half. I actually played about 2 hours, but I've cut as much as I could so that I can give you a full understanding of the tutorial. It's basically the entire tutorial to the end. It's what I did, and that's what you're gonna get here. You're gonna get about an hour and a half. It's longer than most of my videos. My videos are usually no longer than 30 minutes, but again, it's the first beta. You guys have probably seen a whole bunch of streamers that have already done this. There's probably content out there that's already come out, but I wanted you guys to see my content the basics of what I was doing. I wasn't gonna be fancy like a lot of the streamers are trying to be. I'm not yet ready to test the limits of the beta because when I went into the beta and I couldn't get into franchise mode, I realized that there's stuff missing. So doing the basic stuff so that it works and you get an understanding of how great this game is, rather than the frustration that I would probably feel in trying to build, for example, a fancy shelter for the tigers, because not everything's available right now in the tutorial mode. That's kind of what I wanted to avoid. Um, and I love the realism in this. I mean, look at the tigers. The tigers lying down in the sun at, right there. The other one's lying down inside the shelter there, and they're just being what it is. After going to the San Antonio Zoo last weekend, and again, and looking at the tiger exhibits and taking pictures of it, I realized that this is what a zoo is. One of the things that I noticed about zoos that I was really surprised about is when in an amusement park things are big and they're colorful and they're attracting. Oh wow, did you see that? He just jumped over the plants. That was pretty cool. Anyway, so when in amusement parks like Planet Coaster, things are big and exaggerated. What I noticed in the zoo, especially in the San Antonio Zoo, and then looking at pictures of the Dallas Zoo and looking at pictures at the Cameron Zoo in Waco, the attractions are the animals, and everything else around them is it's themed. And don't get me wrong, there are themes around the enclosures, but they're not exaggerated themes. Um, they're very subtle, and that's the kind of zoo that I want to build. I want to build a very subtle zoo that is themed around the animals and where the various parts where the animals come from, the various parts of the world, but in the subdued way that zoos actually are created, not in creating exorbitant and um, exaggerated areas, but very themed, subdued, subtle areas, and make the attractions the animals, not the park itself. And that's one of the things that I noticed in all these zoos the zoo that I visited and the zoos that I looked pictures on. Now, I'll be in Dallas probably sometime next week, and I'm gonna take a stroll through the Dallas Zoo. When I go to Houston, I'm gonna do the same thing in the Houston Zoo. When I go to Waco, I'm gonna do the same thing in the Waco Zoo. But just from the pictures, I noticed that the zoos are themed, but the themes are subtle. The themes are subdued. They're there. You can see them. You can feel them. You can understand them. But the attraction is the animals within that theme. A good example is in the San Antonio Zoo. There's a whole section of savanna animals, and what they did is they themed it with large mounts of termites, like there are in the savannah in Africa. You've got these large mounds of termites, and you see the cheetahs, and you see sometimes chimpanzees or whatever, in those areas. So they themed the whole area like that, and you can see that they're termite mounds, and then the enclosures are in between those termite mounds, and you see the different types of animals that live within the savannah, the African savannah. And so it's themed. It's a theme, but it's not. It wasn't overdone. It wasn't overwhelming. That wasn't the center, but the focus of that was the animals within that theme, and that's what I really enjoyed about noticing that. And prior to Planet Zoo, I really didn't realize that. I didn't. I went into the San Antonio Zoo this weekend with an eye on what's the word? With an eye on detail. How do they attract their audience? What do they do to showcase the animals? What is the focus of the zoo? And how are they innovating to with their first goal, conservation, and B, education, and then C, entertainment. Those are kind of the three things that I see zoos doing. Primarily conservation, conserving the animals, which is one of the things that I learned is as many animals as are going extinct daily. Our zoos are trying to ensure that the future sees these animals. And then B, the education on these animals, and helping people understand what this is all about. That's kind of the idea. What it is, why it is important for us to take care of our planet and take care of the animals, and ensure that we continue this pace of trying to make our planet better. I think it's a very important part of this, the education part. San Antonio Zoo has a huge education area where not only do they bring kids and schools, but it's also an education area for adults. Excuse me. So I was very impressed with that, and so it's something I want to incorporate into my zoo projects is the education aspect. And then the third thing that I saw was the entertainment aspect of it. Um, the center and the focus are the animals, and so they try to build around it. They're doing huge renovations in the San Antonio Zoo right now to make it more appealable for families and for people, so that there's more of an entertainment value, but also to make it more uh, conservation friendly for the animals. One big thing is they just redid the entire, uh, a huge part of the African exhibit where they have the African elephants and the giraffes and the zebras, and they've incorporated the zebras, giraffes, rhinos all into one large savanna area where they would naturally be together. And so they took this large area of the park and turned it into a huge savanna, and then created a pass, elevated pass around there so that you can see all the different animals in the savannah. I think it's a great area. I would have expanded it a little bit more. Would have done it a little different, but I think for the San Antonio Zoo and for the amount of money they put into it, I think it's an excellent area. And then on top of that, they added the entertainment value, where they actually have the kids or the families go in and be able to feed the giraffes, which gives them additional income because of course you pay to feed the giraffe, but B, it gives that child or that family or that adult an incentive to come to the zoo because they get to feed a giraffe. So it's kind of a dual thing there. You get close to an animal that you would not be close to unless you went to Africa. I mean, that's kind of the idea. Um, and so I think that's a great thing, so long as they keep it within, so long as it's the education part of it is very important. So the same thing with the rhinos. There's an area where you can actually go down and be close to the rhinos, and the rest of those savanna animals,
Right
including
then.
the elephants.
All animals need plants and trees from their own biome or continent. Well, you know, deserts, savannas, or Asia, Europe, that sort of thing. It looks like these tigers need a few more plants in their habitat. To get a perfect fit, use plants from the rainforest and temperate biomes that are native to Asia. Although if you have to, you can get away with using just one or the other. The tigers will also want a certain amount of their habitat to be covered by those plants. To find out which plants to use and how many, select a tiger and go to the Environment tab. Now, as you can see, some of the plants currently in the habitat aren't quite right for the tiger, like the wattle bushes. You can remove them if you want. You can find all of the plants you need in the nature section, and you can use the filters to only show the types of plants you want to see. In this case, that's plants from the rainforest or temperate biomes.
So, as I was saying, those are kind of the things that are important to me when it comes to this game. I think I want to incorporate the realism of what zoos are. Yeah, I'm not going to create big elaborate structures. I'm going to create themed structures for each of the habitats, but I'm going to do it within that realism of the zoo. I think that that's important, at least for me. Um, there's going to be plenty of other content creators that are going to create big, elaborate structures and big, elaborate zoos, uh, and I'll be watching them do those things. But I think I'm going to stick with that plan of creating realistic zoos inspired by zoos first within Texas and maybe zoos within the United States and then maybe zoos within North America and zoos within South America, and I'm just going to go on and create zoos themed and inspired by these different areas of the world. Um, I want to do something similar to the wildlife ranch here in San Antonio, uh, meshed with uh, the Disney Animal Kingdom safari, um, uh, safari park area. I think although the rest of the Animal Kingdom is an amusement park, um, the safari area is a wildlife area. It's a conservation area. I really every time I've gone and done that ride, I'm impressed by how it's so realistic to an African safari where the animals are pretty much roaming free, and they've kept the predators and the prey within the same enclosure, but of course protected so that they don't have those problems. But the lion habitat is inside the wildlife park. The cheetah habitat is inside the wildlife park, and so you see them with the backdrop of what would be their natural habitat, and yet protected. And that's kind of where I'm coming from. Is that those are kind of the things that are inspiring me in trying out Planet Zoo, is to create those kinds of habitats, maybe make them better, because you've got a 365 mile a 35,000 mile view of a zoo, and and it gives you a different perspective than if you are on the ground like many of these zoos are. Uh, I think it gives you a different perspective, um, compared to uh, zoo architects and all these individuals. And I'm not pretending to be some zoo architect. What I'm saying is it's a different perspective uh, for education, and maybe I can use this too, this as a tool for education as well. Some of the content will be educational in terms of not how to create the zoos, but in terms of what the purpose of that zoo is, what it is that it's trying to do, or what it is that I'm trying to convey with the creation of a zoo. Those are kind of the things that I'm thinking about when it comes to Planet Coaster, and I want to hear your ideas. What do you want to get out of this game? What is it that you want from Planet Zoo, and what is it that you're looking for when you play this kind of game, that is both a a build type of game, and a educational type of game, and a management type of game? What is the satisfaction that you are getting from playing this type of game? I'm very curious and in learning why many of you like playing this type of game. That's something that kind of sparks me. I know why I like playing this type of game. I like the challenge of management. B, I love the educational aspect of it. I'll be going through that Zoopedia backwards and forwards for each animal. I love the educational aspect of it. And three, or C, I like the creative aspect of it, which is building habitats that are outside the box. Is what I'm thinking. Habitats that you would probably not see in real zoos, because the finances of real zoos are a lot more limited than they are in a game like this. I mean, depending on the challenge of the game, and the restrictions on the finances. But for example, in a sandbox let's play that I might do, I would be creating a zoo, habitats that would be outside of the box compared to what a real zoo could do. Now, in my franchise mode, I really do want to stick to that premise of creating zoos that are viable, that would fit in any city, anywhere in the world, that you would see in any city anywhere in the world. So I do want to do that in the franchise mode. In a sandbox let's play, I want to get a little more creative and create habitats that are outside the box. Habitats that, because of the constraints of the financial constraints in zoos, are likely not to happen. That's going to be kind of my goal in the sandbox mode, and of course the scenario mode is just to have fun and go through the career mode, just like I do in a lot of my let's play uh, basketball and football, soccer and hockey games that I do. So, right now where we're having this discussion, because I'm placing trees and doing all this kind of stuff, which is another thing that I'm gonna ask you guys is in my let's play for Planet Coaster. First, I did these time lapse things, and it kind of got old. Um, so I'm gonna try and do like I did my last Planet Coaster one, which is I'm going to build, and then show you. I'm gonna show you an area or of a habitat, and tell you or explain to you what I want to build. Go out and build it, and then come back and show you. So we did the silver.
They say
objectives.
that good fences make good neighbors. I guess that's doubly true when one of the neighbors is a Bengal tiger. Still, those tigers look so happy that I doubt they'd leave, even if you did poke a hole in their fence. Oh, but for heaven's sake, don't test that theory.
Right, let's head over to the Indian peafowls. I've been told that we need to improve their social welfare. Now then, just find one of the peafowls and select them to open their information panel. Then we can have a good gander at how they're doing. Although technically, I suppose gandering would just be for geese. Expand their social welfare and we can get a bit more detail. Now, they've clearly got plenty of space and they're not stressed, but it looks like their social group isn't quite right. So let's find out more. Click on the social tab at the top of their information panel to see what's wrong. Right, as you can see, the peafowls need their population to be larger. To solve this little problem, you'll need to adopt 3 more female peafowls. Well, off you pop to the animal market. Good work on those peafowls. I expect they'll be delivered soon. But sadly, it sounds like our snow leopard is a bit grumpy. Let's head over there and see what's wrong with her. Just like people, animals can suffer from stress if things aren't quite right. You know, like when you see someone put in the milk before the tea bag. In the case of these snow leopards, they're a bit stressed by their lack of privacy. You can lower their stress levels by swapping out the normal glass barriers for one-way glass. It's not a cheap option, but I think they're worth the expense, don't you? This will give the snow leopards somewhere to go when they want to get away from the prying eyes of the guests. Of course, when an animal isn't in its natural biome, it's probably going to be too hot or too cold. Unsurprisingly for the snow leopards, it's too hot. Even with the terrible British weather, you should help cool it down by adding some coolers to their habitat. But let's start by opening up the temperature heat map and having a look-see at the temperature in the leopard's habitat.
Okay, as you can see, I don't know where the temperature heat map is. I didn't pay attention the first time. I think it's over here in the corner, but I'm going to be looking for it for a while.
As you can see, we already have one cooler in there. Let's pop some more down and get as much of the habitat as chilly as we can. Luckily for us, this habitat already has power, but you'll need to make sure of that in the future. Just so you know, if any part of a habitat is powered, then the whole habitat will be powered.
So once again, it's about creating. Where was I before? So I'm trying. I'm gonna try and create the type of zoo in the different modes that I think will fit with each mode. I think that the franchise mode will gear itself to a more creative, a more realistic zoo, while um, the scenario, it's basically just following the scenarios and what you need to do, and the sandbox is going to lend to a more creative, more elaborate type of habitats and zoos. So I think that's kind of where we're gonna do this. We're gonna stick to this kind of different tracks for different zoos or for different modes during the course of this. Now, this is not gonna happen right now. Right now, it's just the beta testing, and we only have the franchise mode. And right now, we don't even have the franchise mode. We just have the scenario mode. I'm talking about once launch happens, and for however many years I can create this content, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you stick with me as we create this content. It's not going to be the only content on the channel, but it will be part of the same content, part of the content. I think that Planet Zoo is going to have a long life. Planet Coaster is going to have long life in this channel, just because it's the type of thing that I like to do and I like to play. I will be doing beta testing of other games that I enjoy. Predominantly, it'll be um, sports type games or first person shooters, but the build type games that I enjoy, I think that that's gonna be kind of the core of this channel. um, but again, I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear in your comments what it is that you're looking for when you go through YouTube and you look at all of these channels and all of these gaming channels. What are you searching for? What kind of entertainment do you want? uh, what do you want to do? You want? I mean, there's a lot of how-tos and tutorials and the 10 best things and the 10 most exciting things or the 10 things you should or should not do. Those are already being done, and I don't want to be just another voice in that. I want to create something new, something that you guys are looking for. Do you want me to talk outside of what the game is? On the things that I'm an expert on. For example, the law. I'm an attorney. I'll be more than glad to talk about the law. Within the context of questions that I'm asked.
You can find heat maps for all sorts of helpful things, so do be sure to explore them and make good use of them. It'll take a little while for the temperature to adjust once you've added coolers or heaters, but now we've got the coolers in, we can address the leopards' terrain welfare. You see, what the leopards really want in here is snow and rock, so let's make that happen.
And so I want to know what it is that you guys are looking for whenever you go through and look at YouTube channels and say, look, this is what I'm. This is why why I listen. This is why I sit and watch this content, because this content is the same content that hundreds of YouTubers are doing right now. This content is the same content that hundreds of streamers are doing right now. I know of at least 6 streamers that started at 10 a.m. and are creating content based on Planet Zoo. And they're online and they continue to be online. They're going to be online for a while. And I know at least 10 or 15 YouTubers that are creating content based on Planet Zoo. And they're going to release that content as quickly as possible. And so I want to know what it is that you guys look for when you go to a channel. I want to, this channel is geared toward people like me. I got off of work. I was gonna take off today just for this, and I couldn't do that. I had to work all morning, and I had to work all afternoon, and I didn't get to play this for about 2 hours in between working. I downloaded it, played it, and then went back to work because I was supposed to take the day off, and it really didn't work that way. And it happens to many of us. So I want to know what it is that people like myself are looking for when you get on YouTube and say, look, I really want to play this game, but I have 2 hours or 3 hours at the end of the day. How what can I do, or how can I find the joy in playing this and not get tired or bored of it? How do you find that joy? What is it that you look for? How do you stop being frustrated? Um, how do I take the shortcuts if that's what you want? I don't take shortcuts. I like doing the grinding. I like doing the learning each aspect of the game. You know, yes, every once in a while I'll look at a tutorial on YouTube for something that for me it's a little bit over the top and I can't seem to get. But in terms of playing the game and grinding the game out, I enjoy doing that now, and that's who I am, and that's the kind of channel. That's what I want to give you as the audience. I want to give you that opportunity to tell me what it is that you're looking for in a channel that gears towards that person that has maybe 2 or 3 hours at the end of the day, or on the weekends plays for 5 or 6 hours, while they're when they have some free time, or when the holidays come around, or um, you know I don't have a group of internet friends that I play with. My first person shooters tend to be solo games. That's why I gravitate to this kind of game where I can play by myself. Um, that too, I want to know. I want to know you, that audience member out there that plays by themselves. What do you look for when you go to YouTube, when you go to Twitch, when you go to Mixer, when you go to Twitter or Instagram, and you look at some of these gamers? What is it that you are searching for? And maybe I can give it to you in this channel. Um, Maybe I can do it in Spanish. I'm bilingual, and I can do both. I can speak Spanglish if that's what it takes. But I want to hear from you guys. I want you guys to put down in the comments what it is that you're looking for. This is a unique situation because it's a beta testing of a brand new game that there's a large audience for, and I'm hoping that I can get a large audience to look at it. I'm hoping that I can get a large audience to go through the entire hour and a half and see the tutorial from my perspective, because they haven't bought the deluxe edition, to see if they want to play it, if it's going to be too tedious, if it's going to take too much time. Um, which I can say, you know what, I went through the tutorial in 2 hours and I learned all the mechanics in those 2 hours, and now I know that I can play this game a lot faster. I know that I can do things a lot better now that I went through this tutorial. I think that this tutorial, this scenario, was a lot better than Planet Coaster, because when I started Planet Coaster, there was no tutorial. I got a lot of my information from YouTube as to how things worked. Here, I got it straight from the game, and I think this is going to help a lot of people who want to play this game actually be able to delve right into it after they do their tutorial, and actually do what they want to do, and cut down on the time on learning how to do the things that they want to do, learning how to manage the park, learning what the animals are supposed to have, learning how to do the fences, and where the habitats are and what the habitats are required, how to use the terrain tools and how to use the paths and all that kind of stuff. I think that the tutorial is a good process for Frontier in the Planet Zoo scenario, and I think that is going to speak volumes to the amount of people that are going to be able to play this game. Basically hit the ground running in this game. So again, I'm doing this for you guys. Yes, I like to hear myself speak. I'm an attorney. I'm always talking. I love the sound of my voice, but I really want to do this content creation for you guys. This is why I'm doing it. It's also part of a legacy for my brother who I love and passed away too young, and he was an avid video game player and an avid comic book reader. Even at the age of 42, he was he loved the movies, and I miss him. And doing this, playing these games, creating this channel, um, I feel closer to him this way. All my avatars for all my games are gonna be have his name on them, or his avatar name will have on them. Every game where I have to create an avatar will have his call sign. And that's the purpose of this channel. You know, um, I've got a lot of airtime to talk while I'm doing this and putting rocks down on the leopard habitat. But I really want to touch a nerve in you guys. Whether it's talking about the law, whether it's talking about politics, whether it's talking about the games, the controversies. I just don't want to repeat the same things over and over that other YouTubers, other content creators are already doing. Just because they've been doing it a lot longer than I have, and they do it very well. And that's not my expertise. I play games for fun. I don't play games and become an expert at a game. I'm not a competitive, PUBG player or a competitive, creator. I don't play Dota, or WoW or these games for the purpose of becoming competitive or the best at it. I play these games because I enjoy them, because they're fun, because they attract my attention to the things that I enjoy, whether it's the management side, whether it's making me more creative, tapping that side of my brain that is not analytic, even though it does. There's a lot of analyzing in these games. So if you come to this channel, you're not going to find the best PUBG player. I'm not even average at PUBG. You're not going to find the best Planet Coaster creator. I venture to say that I'm, average or a little bit below. You're not going to find the best Planet Zoo creator or the best Plants vs. Zombies player, or what you're going to find is a sense of community, a sense of I'm just like you. I'm a sense of we can do this together. That's what I want to convey. That's what I want to give you guys, is that sense of I'm just like you. We are a community of video game players, and and it's not about being a casual player and a hardcore player. I think these terms tend to be competitive. I'm not talking about playing the game and using what disposable income you have to get the highest levels. No, I'm talking about actually playing the game and enjoying it and grinding it out, but at a pace that might be a lot slower than somebody else. Or grinding it out at not the highest difficulty. Usually when I play a basketball game like, NBA Live or 2K, I play it at the middle difficulty. When people are playing All Star, or they're playing Madden All Star, I'll be playing whatever the regular is. I won't play Rookie because I've been playing these games long enough that I'm a little better than Rookie. but I play at those levels that the average person's gonna play, and the average player is gonna play. And I want that sense of community here, not to be judged because you're not good at, better than somebody else, but to understand that we all play at a level based on what we enjoy, that these games are about enjoyment, about having fun, and that's the type of community that I want to create. Um, a bunch of regular people playing games for fun. At the end of the day, to release steam, to vent instead of having to vent at your family. You leave it out all on the game by shooting up a whole bunch of avatars, a bunch of NPCs, or shooting up other players in multiplayer games, like PUBG, but understanding that that's where we're coming
Well
from.
then, all of that should give you a pretty good understanding of how to make animals happy. So I'd like you to go and check on all the other animals in the zoo and fix up any issues with their habitats. That'll increase the average welfare of the animals across the whole zoo. And that average welfare is a very important statistic. Now, to quickly see how all your animals are doing in the zoo, you should go into zoo management and then into the animals section.
We're getting pretty close to the end of the video. I think we're gonna take care of the warthogs because I think that's the one thing that comes out. It looks like we have a lemur that's been locked down for too long, and there's something wrong with the warthog, which I can't see because it's in the middle of all this thing.
As you can see, this list shows you the animal's overall welfare. So if something's amiss, then you can quickly pop over to them using the locate button. Right, I'm off for a cuppa while you make sure all the animals are well looked after.
So one of the warthogs is dehydrated, so I guess it needs water. So the question is, how do we get this done? Hey, we can give contraceptives to the animals. Ha! I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Now I've got 5 animals that need my care. Well, it's actually the warthogs plus that lemur twice. And apparently the warthog is near death. It's so dehydrated that it's near death. Okay. So how do I give it water? So call a habitat. A keeper to the habitat. Maybe that's the way it's done. The water bowl seems to have water in it. Yeah, it says hydration. Got protesters outside too. Look at the protesters. Now she's dehydrated too. Okay, well, I'm gonna call the keeper. I don't see a zookeeper coming though. Oh, here comes the zookeeper. So the zookeeper's gonna come in and do what? It just turned around. Oh man, seriously? This must be a bug then, because he just turned around. Okay, let's click on the warthog again. And let's call the zookeeper. Okay. Here he comes again. This one says the keeper's en route. And he goes in. And Okay, didn't do anything. What the hell? Okay, the other one says it's en route. Okay, let's call the keeper again. Here he comes again. Let's see if he does something. Nope, he stops it there. Turns around. Oh, here we go. What's he gonna do? Let's follow the keeper. He is picking up poop. That's not what I need him to do. I need him to fill out the water. Is he gonna fill up the water? No, he's coming over to this other side. And he's picking up poop. And then he's leaving. What the heck? Okay, maybe if I put a bigger water. Food bowl small, food throw large. No, got that already. See, let's click on the water bowl, the food bowl. 0 quantity right now. Water bowl small, water bowl large. Water pipe, maybe put a water pipe in there. Okay, let's put a water throw. See if that increases the amount of water in the. So now how do I get the zookeeper to come fill it? Okay, we'll call the keeper, see if he comes and fills it. It says the keeper's en route. Is there no water? Looks like it's drinking. So why is he dehydrated if he's drinking water? Current volume 0. Oh, look, there's a location thing for the keeper there. Where's the keeper, though? Says the keeper's en route. I do not see a keeper at all. Anywhere. I don't see a keeper anywhere. Is it a bug? Okay, see, I see a keeper right there. Okay, here comes a keeper. And he's coming into the habitat. And he's gonna go do something. But of course, I'm over here looking at where the keepers are. Let's see, let's click out of that. Where's the keeper? He filled some food. And that's it. So let's unbox this lemur. It's been unboxed for a while. So that takes care of the lemur. I'm gonna call the keeper back. Maybe this one will fill the water. Comes in. Okay, he's going somewhere. Where is he going? Where is he going? And okay, he filled that water. Okay, perfect. So we got some water in there. Now we just need the warthogs to drink it. And he's gonna fill this water bowl, this water throw as well. How do you say it? Is it water trough? That's it is. Water trough. Okay, they're coming out. Both of them are. Let's see if we can get their welfare up. Go drink some water, please. Go drink some water, please. Here we go. He's drinking water. They're both drinking water. Perfect. Their hydration is up to 100, and we are good. Okay, guys, this is probably the end. We're going to leave it right here. We've got them back up to where they need to be. So we'll see you next time. I'm going to see if I can get the franchise moon to work. Hopefully you like this content. Please comment down below. I really want to hear your comments. So we'll see you next time, guys. You take care, and adios. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like the content, click the like button below. Remember, if you're looking for a relaxing space to evaluate gameplay, inspiration for your own projects, or a dose of daily awful dad jokes, subscribe to the channel right now and click on the bell to get notified when I upload more videos. Until next time, adios.